Hi, I'm Sharon Bell from the BayNet. It is the middle of election season 2018. And with me today is Brian Crosby, candidate, Maryland House of Delegates, District 29B. He is with the Democratic Party. How are you today, Brian?
I'm well. Yourself, Sharon?
Good, good. Brian has a commitment and service and devotion to his community. He has developed some key initiatives that we will discuss today. What are your key initiatives, Brian?
So our platform is three things, and it's getting back to basics. First is education. Second is infrastructure within the community. And third is ultimately economic diversity and trying to A, protect the base, and B, bridge the gap between the two economies that exist right here in our community. The 80% that I've said is on Pax River, and then that other 20% that comprises the rest of our community.
In regards to the economic development, completing the third building, that's been a really big initiative in our area. What are your plans on getting that completed?
So that is a top priority. A lot of people don't realize the fastest growing sector of St. Mary's is the is the airport, which has tripled in size over the last year or 2 years, really. So it is the fastest growing portion of our economy here in St. Mary's. The third building is vital in that development. First, it's an opportunity to build things, which is good for construction and overall development, and it puts people to work and gives them a purpose and an identity. The second really is to focus in on grasping and maintaining the talent right here in the county. So it's a technology building that would pull resources from the University of Maryland, and it allows us to keep students that graduate a Great Mills or a Leonardtown, get them through the university system here right up the road at the airport, and then employ them right there at St. Mary's County to retain that tax base and talent here within the county. So you grow them here, you educate them here, both in high school and college, and then ultimately you employ them here up at the airport.
So that students would be able to go to the University of Maryland and basically get pretty much any type of degree. Is that not correct?
It is, but really it's focused on what we promote, being the technology.
Exactly.
Yeah, the technology corridor of
Right.
Maryland. And
so
that
would be our focus. They will offer PhD programs, master degrees. This will be a full-service university.
It is, from my understanding, when they come here, it will be similar to the Higher Ed Center in that they do offer PhD programs.
So in regards to education, that's another big topic in our area. I know that you've been focusing on class sizes and plus the security issues that we've had this past year. What in legislation do you foresee going on there?
So working within the Kerwin Commission and those recommendations that are going to come out of it, to first and foremost pay our teachers so that we can retain and recruit the best teachers available. Maryland is an importer of teacher talent, and that is something that is crucial in that, if we want to lure the best teachers in the world to promote or to educate our children and to invest in them, we have to pay them a fair wage. I don't think a lot of people realize that if you make about $20 an hour, that's about $42,000 a year, you can afford an apartment here, in St. Mary's County by yourself. Many of our teachers can barely do that. They come out of college, they're drowned in debt, and they don't make that living wage, so to speak. The second is really reducing class size. We just saw the park results come out. St. Mary's County was not one of the best that finished, or when we compare that testing results to like counties such as Charles and Calvert, really Calvert County. And their investment and the funding, the proper funding needed shows within those test scores. And so, ensuring that we keep class sizes down so that kids and students get that individualized learning and training path. So that way, we can compete on a global level.
How do you anticipate doing that? How do we reduce our class sizes? Do we build another school, or what do you see?
So, yeah, long term, even within my district, the school is an interesting question because it is based on a formula. And you have to show a certain growth in
Exactly.
population size. St. Mary's County, oddly, has been flat for the last year, and that's why it kind of stagnated. But we do need that additional school building. Within 29B, I have 9 schools. There are 27 trailers outside of those 9 schools. I think it's appalling that our children are learning in trailers and not having access to the best classrooms with the best tools to succeed, and ultimately, getting them into an environment that fosters education and learning.
The school resource officers. A lot of parents, of course, would like to have resource officers in all of the schools. And right now we have a shared resource officer. How do you anticipating the next few years surrounding the safety in our students and the resource officers?
So I do think the goal should be to get a resource officer in each school. Now, I realize that's an unfair burden to our sheriff. Sheriff Cameron does an outstanding job across the board, but he does have serious manning issues. And right now, he doesn't have the personnel to put a resource officer in each school to achieve that goal. But what I will say is a couple things about the school resource officer. One, it does provide safety against potential threats. But two, really, it starts community policing, especially at that young age. So kids generally feel more comfortable and confident when they speak to an officer in the school system. And what we've seen is, and I've talked to many teachers that really advocate for this, is that the students will go to the resource officer long before they'll go to the administration, long before they'll go to a teacher, just to talk to them because they feel safe and confident. And then that allows the resource officer to bring awareness to certain situations so that we have prevention within the schools across the board. And it's really needed in the middle schools where that type of bullying or outcasting, social outcasting begins. And it's not just the resource officer, it's also pairing that with school psychologists and psychiatrists so that they can get help on that end. So it kind of works in twofold. But yes, I do support an ultimate goal of achieving a resource officer in each and every school. I do think we have some real gaps to get there, but I'm confident with the leadership, especially at the sheriff's office, if we give them a goal and we properly fund and staff them, they can meet that.
Okay. Now, do you know, is there any funding in the budget for psychiatrists in the schools?
There is funding. However, I think that the state mandate is I believe it's 1 every 250. And right now we are well below that. I think it's 1 every 500 in St. Mary's County. So we have about half the school psychologists that we need or are required to properly serve and invest and educate, or not educate, but help and aid your children.
Anything else on education that you'd like to add?
No, education, I can't stress this enough. It's an investment. And if you want to compete on a global scale, and we want to truly be the technology corridor of Maryland, it's going to take all of us to step up, put the proper resources in place to get behind it, and that way allow your kids, ultimately to grow up and have a purpose and compete globally. Frankly, and we can do that right here.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our viewers?
No, look, this has been a humbling and fun 2 years going around and listening to all of you for your solutions. And, I know that we have a lot of problems, but I'm confident if we work together, regardless of party, we can make this happen. So I just want to thank each and every one of you.
Again, this is Brian Crosby. He is a candidate in the Maryland House of Delegates, District 29B. Make sure you get out and vote November 6th.